For Christmas, my parents gave me a book titled From Hobbyist to Adult. My sister got plane tickets to Florence. So, I took their advice and did this. The next morning, they called me in a panic because I set boundaries, stopped babysitting, and refused to fund her next career opportunity. Apparently, growing up only counts if it still benefits them. There's a special kind of silence that happens right before a gift is opened. That awkward, forced quiet when everyone's pretending to be excited but already knows what's inside. That was the silence I sat in on Christmas morning, holding a flat, rectangular package from my parents. Everyone was watching me, just not the way they watched Claire. My name's Evan. I'm 31 years old. I live in Columbus, Ohio, and I work full-time as a library technician for a children's literacy program. I also do storytime shows on the side, birthday parties, school events, literacy fairs. I dress up as characters from books. I've been a dragon. I've been a wizard named Marvin who raps about silent vowels. I love it. Kids love it. But no one in my family sees it that way. I unwrapped the gift carefully, already guessing it would be something motivational. The title stared back at me in glossy, patronizing font, From Hobbyist to Adult, Finding Direction After 30. My stomach sank. I managed a thin smile, the kind I'd practiced for years. My mom clapped lightly. We just thought it might give you some focus, sweetie, she said. You know, now that you're getting older. My dad chuckled, holding his coffee mug with both hands like a judge issuing a verdict. You've always been creative, but it's probably time to start thinking about something with long-term potential. Claire snorted from the couch, but not meanly, more like she didn't even notice the insult. I got your gift, by the way, she said to my mom, reaching into her stocking and pulling out a white envelope. She already knew what was inside. My parents beamed as she read the letter aloud. All expenses paid, trip to Florence for the International Culinary Creators Convention, Claire said, her voice rising like a game show host. Oh my God. Are you serious? Your mother found the listing online, my dad said, clearly proud. It's an exclusive opportunity for culinary entrepreneurs. Claire had been running a semi-legal private chef business for about 6 months. She catered parties, made charcuterie boards, posted artful pictures of balsamic drizzle on Instagram. My mom leaned forward. We just wanted to support your brand, Claire. You're building something real. They turned to me briefly. My dad nodded toward the book on my lap. And maybe this'll help you figure out where you're going, Evan. Where I'm going. As if dressing like a 10-foot-tall chicken to teach first graders about punctuation wasn't going anywhere. As if joy wasn't a direction. As if I didn't already work full-time, with benefits and a pension plan. As if I didn't book gigs on weekends, spend hours planning each story-time performance down to the costume and voices and rhythm of each page turn. I kept smiling. That was the role I'd learned to play, the agreeable one, the helper, the sidekick in Claire's movie. I even made a joke. Guess I've got some reading to do, I said, holding up the book. Everyone chuckled. Except me. After presents, Claire opened a second mimosa and showed my mom her Pinterest board for Florence. My dad helped her Google the convention schedule, circling things like prosciutto pairings and chef-to-table branding. I gathered up the wrapping paper. Nobody asked me what I'd been working on. Nobody asked how the kids at the library were doing. Nobody asked if I still did the stories with the dragon voice. Later, when I went to get more coffee, I overheard my mom talking to Claire in the kitchen. He's just sweet, she said, like she was describing an underachieving child. Hopefully the book will give him some purpose. I didn't say anything. I stirred cream into my coffee and sipped it while they laughed about foie gras. That was the moment it really landed. I wasn't the son they were proud of. I was the soft one. The helper. The one they could lean on but never lift up. That Christmas morning, surrounded by torn wrapping paper and praise that wasn't mine, I realized something painful and permanent. In my family story, I wasn't the main character. I was the comic relief. The warm-up act. And no one claps for the warm-up act. I kept the book. That's probably the saddest part. I didn't throw it out or leave it behind on the coffee table like I wanted to. I took it home and slid it onto the bookshelf next to my well-worn copy of Where the Wild Things Are. It didn't belong there, but neither did I in that house on Christmas morning, so I guess we matched. A couple days later, after the tinsel had stopped shedding and the tree was drooping in its corner, I found myself flipping through old photos. Christmases from years ago. One where I was about 10 and Claire got a pink karaoke machine with flashing lights. I got a toolbox, plastic, kid-sized. But still, she sang for the family while I sat on the floor next to Dad, learning how to use a wrench. Different year. Claire with a new digital camera. Me with a subscription to Teen Success Weekly and a gold journal with a leather cover. Another, Claire unwrapping tickets to a weekend art retreat in Vermont. Me holding a gift card to Office Depot. Always useful. Always practical. Never magical. I thought about my job. That morning, I had a school visit scheduled for the Children's Reading Initiative. It was snowy, and I had to dig out the car, but I didn't mind. When I walked into the gymnasium, 25 kindergartners shrieked and ran toward me yelling, "Mr. Evan, like I was a celebrity. One little girl threw her arms around my legs and said, "You smell like cinnamon rolls and books." During story time, I did my night voice, overly proper and ridiculous, and the kids howled with laughter. When I asked who wanted to help slay the grammatical goblin, every hand shot up. One boy, Max, stood up in the middle of the dragon puppet sketch and shouted, "You should be on TV." No parent had ever said that to me. No adult had ever clapped for my voices or noticed how carefully I stitched those character capes by hand. But the kids did. And they weren't thinking about resumes or long-term plans or tax brackets. They just liked the stories. They liked me. I used to do parties on weekends, full-themed experiences called literary night adventures. I'd build cardboard castles, come dressed as characters, host obstacle courses based on picture books. I stopped about 8 months ago. Claire had asked for help. Max was sick, and she had a catering event, and then it turned into, "Can you watch him just this once?" And then again, and then every Saturday, I was the default. Max is 5. A sweet kid. He once told me I was his favorite grown-up. But I traded my best weekends for babysitting shifts and polite nods from Claire when she dropped him off late. Family motto, we're a team. In reality, I was the team. I was the extra set of hands, the wallet, the quiet guy who says, "Sure," even when it's a no screaming in his throat. And somewhere along the way, they took that joyful version of me, the one in a felt wizard hat with a bubble machine, and renamed him childish. Not important. Not serious. I sat on my couch that night, glitter from an old party box still stuck in the carpet, and realized something I should have figured out years ago. They don't see me. Not really. They only see what I give them. That night, I couldn't sleep. I just kept staring at the ceiling, the words from Christmas echoing in my head. Find some direction, long-term potential, purpose. It felt like a film playing on a loop. I kept thinking about the book. Not the one they gave me, the ones I read to kids. The ones where the sidekick finally realizes they've been the hero the whole time. Around midnight, I got out of bed and opened my laptop. The email to my parents was short. I thanked them for the gift. I told them I appreciated their concern. And then, gently, I laid it out. I'm happy with my work. I don't need a workbook to find my worth. I won't be taking unsolicited career advice anymore. I wished them well. The text to Claire was harder. I stared at the screen for 10 minutes before typing a single word. Hey. Then backspace. Hi, Claire. Just wanted to let you know I won't be babysitting on weekends anymore. Too stiff. I deleted that too. Eventually, I wrote, "Hey, starting next week, I won't be available to watch Max on Saturdays. I've loved my time with him, but I need that time back for myself. Hope you understand." That one felt honest. It didn't need a monologue. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. I sat back in my chair, heart pounding like I just performed on stage. Except there was no applause. Just silence. Still, I felt taller somehow. I didn't hear anything that night. Not a single reply. But the next morning, my phone was blowing up. 3 missed calls from Claire. A new text in the family group chat from Mom. "Can we please talk before anyone makes things worse?" Then a voicemail from Dad. His voice was slow and heavy, like he was talking through clenched teeth. "Evan, come on. Don't be like this. Your sister counts on you. We all do. This isn't the time to go making statements." Making statements. As if reclaiming 2 days a week of my own life was some kind of crime. I didn't respond. I got dressed, drove to the library, and walked into the staff office. My coworker Marisol looked up from her desk. "You good?" she asked. I nodded. Getting there. Later that day, I visited a local elementary school for a winter reading celebration. I wore my patchwork cloak and brought the dragon puppet. I was halfway through a story about a wizard who forgets his own spells when a little boy tugged my sleeve. "You're the hero from the library story," he whispered, wide-eyed. "The one with the treasure map and the flying books." I blinked. I hadn't done that character in months. "You remembered that?" I asked. He nodded hard. "You made my class laugh so hard the teacher had to sit down." I laughed, genuinely. Then knelt down and gave him a dragon sticker from my coat pocket. "Keep reading," I said. "Even the hard words." He grinned like I'd given him gold. That night, I made myself dinner. No texts. No calls. Just quiet. For the first time in years, the silence didn't feel like loneliness. It felt like space. Like freedom. By the following week, the storm had settled into a low, constant hum, texts instead of calls, passive-aggressive instead of panicked. Claire sent a string of messages late Sunday night. "I know you're finding your boundaries or whatever, but this is really hard on Max. He asked why you don't want to see him anymore. We're family, not strangers. Can't you at least give me some notice next time?" I read them in silence, then turned off my phone and went to bed. The next morning, I signed up for a nature photography workshop. Just something for myself. It was held at a local metro park, and it was freezing, but I didn't care. I brought a second-hand camera I'd bought years ago and never used. I stood in the woods for 2 hours, watching light move across tree bark, taking bad photos of moss and birds I couldn't name. I didn't speak to anyone. Didn't have to. No one asked me for a favor. No one texted mid-session about drop-off times or allergies or one last thing, I promise. It was quiet. And it was mine. When I got home, I had 3 new voicemails. One from Claire. One from Mom. One from Dad. Claire's was first. I hope you're happy. Max had a terrible weekend. We had to get someone from next door to watch him, and she didn't even know how to warm up his oat milk. He cried when we got home. But I guess that's not your problem anymore. Mom's was next. Her voice soft and practiced. Evan, honey, I know things feel hard right now, but don't shut everyone out. You're a good person. You've always been the glue in this family. Just don't throw that away, okay? Dad's was shortest. Your sister's upset. Do the right thing. No one asked if I was okay. No one wondered what it cost me to be the glue. That night, Claire called again. I answered. I was tired of hiding. Her voice was tight, rehearsed. Look, I don't want to fight. I just want to understand why you're punishing Max. I exhaled slowly. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm setting a boundary. A boundary? She laughed, sharp and defensive. You're not his dad, Evan. You're his uncle. Uncles show up. I have shown up, I said. Every weekend. Every birthday. Every time you had a pop-up dinner or a last-minute gig. I gave up my parties. My projects. My time. And you never saw it as help. You saw it as owed. That's not true, she snapped. I stayed quiet. The silence stretched. Eventually, she said, you didn't even tell me in person. You never asked if I was okay. I replied. You assumed I'd keep showing up. You assumed I had nothing better to do. There was a pause. Then the voice she used when she needed something. Well, if you ever change your mind. I won't, I said gently. Click. I stood in my tiny kitchen afterward, boiling water for tea, hands shaking just a little. Saying no was still new. Still raw. But underneath that? Relief. For the first time, I wasn't bending. I wasn't folding myself in half to make everyone else's life easier. Let them call it selfish. Let them call it dramatic. I was done being helpful if it only helped everyone else. I found out about Max's birthday party from Instagram. Claire posted a picture of a tower of artisan cupcakes with gold leaf on top and captioned it. Nothing but the best for my sweet boy. Hashtag mom life, hashtag fairytale birthday. The photos kept coming. Max in a little blazer, standing awkwardly next to a magician who looked half asleep. Hand-painted signs that said, Royal Feast this way, and Night School, now enrolling. A velvet rope sectioned off a corner of their backyard where parents sipped mocktails. I wasn't invited. Not even a courtesy text. Not even a, hey, we're doing something small. I stared at the screen for a long time, then flipped my phone face down on the table. That used to wreck me, the feeling of being excluded, pushed to the edges. But not this time. I just sat there and let the disappointment pass through like a wave. And then I got an idea. The following weekend, I picked Max up from Claire's. She opened the door with that cautious face she wore now, like she was always waiting for me to bring up the issue. I didn't. I thought maybe Max and I could do something low-key today, I said casually. Nothing big. She hesitated. Just don't overdo it, okay? I smiled. Promise. When we got back to my apartment, Max spotted the cardboard castle in the living room and gasped so loudly I thought he might choke. You built this? He asked, already running toward it. Had some help, I said, pointing to the instruction manual from a YouTube channel called Crafts with Carl. But yeah, inside the living room, I had rolled out a blue yoga mat as a moat. We made a drawbridge from cardboard and string. I gave him a plastic knight helmet and pulled on my dragon costume from the old Storytime days, green scales, red felt wings, and a foam tail that kept knocking over furniture. We built shields out of paper plates and colored in family crests with markers. I read the knight who said please in my booming Marvin voice. Max squealed with laughter. When I accidentally breathed fire, confetti poppers taped to my wrist, he fell over laughing. This is the best party ever, he shouted. I made grilled cheese shaped like swords. We drank grape juice from plastic goblets I got at the dollar store. I handed him a gift bag with a dragon puppet, handmade from felt and googly eyes. He looked at it like it was treasure. It's you, he whispered. You're the dragon. Yup, I said. But I'm the good kind. The kind who guards books instead of gold. We ended the day building a small bookshelf for his room, a knight's library, I called it. I let him sign the back in crayon. From my dragon uncle. Max's secret stories go here. I dropped him off just before sunset. Claire opened the door, saw his helmet and the puppet clutched in his arms, and blinked. She looked like she wanted to say something, maybe even ask what we'd done, but then she didn't. Max turned as he stepped inside. Uncle Evan? Yeah, but next year can we have the castle again? But bigger. You got it. That night, I didn't post anything online. No hashtags. No stories. No subtle digs. It wasn't about that. It was about Max and the joy in his eyes when a cardboard castle meant more than a velvet rope. Because real magic doesn't need a guest list. It started with a phone call from the director of the library program. "Hey Evan," she said, trying too hard to sound casual. "We got an anonymous concern emailed about your extracurriculars?" My heart dropped. Extracurriculars. Something about unauthorized private events involving minors. They didn't leave a name, but it referenced a puppet party. You wouldn't happen to know what that's about? I swallowed hard. I threw a birthday activity for my nephew. It was just us. There was a pause. "Look, I'm not worried," she said. "But we'll need documentation that it was personal, just to cover our bases." After we hung up, I already knew where it came from. Claire. Later that night, I got the confirmation, an email forwarded from the district office. The complaint was vague, accused me of blurring professional lines, suggesting I used my job to gain private access to children for personal performances. She didn't name me, of course. Just a lot of heavily implied language. But the references? Too specific to be a stranger. I sat there for a minute, then opened a folder I'd already begun building weeks ago, just in case. I had the text from Claire. "Feel free to do something fun with Max this weekend. He's all yours. Can you bring the dragon puppet? He still talks about it. Thanks for being so good to him. He's lucky to have you." I had photos of the event with timestamps, just me and Max, inside my apartment, with activities clearly set up at home. I had a receipt from the dollar store with the exact purchase: juice boxes, markers, craft glue, $12 dragon helmet. I printed everything, scanned it, emailed it to my supervisor with a note that read, "This was a private gathering with full consent from Max's legal guardian. I trust that will clarify things." She responded 10 minutes later. "All good. Nothing to worry about. Also, your dragon voice is still legendary." But that wasn't the end of it. The next morning, I wrote Claire an email. No text this time. I was done being informal. Subject: regarding recent conduct. Body: Claire. I'm aware of the complaint submitted to my employer regarding my time with Max. I have submitted full documentation, including your written consent, to confirm the nature of the event. Let me be clear. If I receive further indications of defamation or sabotage, personal or professional, I will take formal legal action. I love Max. I always will. But your choices are your own, and the consequences are now yours too. Evan. I didn't hear back. But later that week, I saw she deleted the birthday post from Instagram. Untagged herself from the cupcake photos. The magician pics vanished. No captions about best mom ever. Nothing. Silence. That Friday, I went back to work, read green eggs and ham to a room full of first graders, and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Steady. Protected. Real. Claire had tried to twist something joyful into something ugly. But I had the truth. I had receipts. And this time, she couldn't twist her way out. The helper she used to count on? He had armor now. It didn't take long for the whispers to start. Not from strangers, not from coworkers, but from family. Suddenly, I wasn't just Evan the eccentric library guy. I was emotional, unstable, overreacting. That last one came from my dad, buried in a text message that ended with, "You've always been sensitive, son. Try not to blow things out of proportion." I almost laughed. Claire posted a vague status on Facebook the next day. "It's always the ones who pretend to be calm that explode the loudest." One of her friends commented, "Ugh, been there." But something strange happened. A few days later, I got a message from my Uncle Ron. We hadn't talked in years. "Hey kid, just wanted to say I heard some things, and you're not crazy. I remember your mom doing the same thing to your cousin once. You're not the first to get frozen out for not fitting the family look. Keep doing your thing." Then a text from my cousin Meg. "My mom told me what happened. I'm sorry. I always thought what you did with the library stuff was amazing. My daughter still talks about the time you made her a wizard hat out of foil." And then one from someone I didn't expect at all, Lena, one of Claire's old catering contacts. She'd seen the birthday drama unfold from afar. "Hey, I don't know if this is weird, but I was at Max's official party. It was cold. I saw pics of what you did the next weekend. That's the kind of thing he'll remember. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." That one almost made me cry. For so long, I thought the only version of the truth that mattered was the one my family repeated. The polished one. The version where Claire was the success story and I was the quirky side note. The one where their approval was a mirror I had to keep chasing. But here were people, not loud, not dramatic, just quietly reaching out. Validating me. Reminding me that what I did mattered. And then, it got better. 3 new families booked me for story time parties through my old website, which I just reactivated. One mom wrote in her request form, "Heard you made a dragon party for your nephew. That's exactly the kind of creativity we want for our daughter's birthday." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I reopened the spreadsheet I'd closed months ago. Nightlit events, literacy plus magic. I emailed a former coworker about designing a new flyer. I scheduled a Saturday morning slot at the rec center. I made a list of costumes to patch up and a banner to reprint. The world didn't see me as childish. Just the people who had never really looked at me. A dad at a library event pulled me aside after story time and said, "You made books feel like magic for my kid. That's not childish, that's genius." And I believed him. The envelope was pale blue, addressed in Claire's careful handwriting, the kind she used for holiday cards and thank you notes, not arguments. Inside was a single sheet of stationery, folded twice. No glitter. No stickers. No dramatic fonts. Just her words. "Evan, I don't really know how to say this. I've been thinking about everything. The party, the emails, the silence. I've been angry, but underneath that, I think I've been something else. Jealous. Not of your job or your weekends or your puppets, but of how kids look at you. How Max looks at you. You do something with joy that I can't seem to find in anything I do. And when I saw how much Max lit up around you, I got scared. I'm sorry for trying to make you feel small. You never were. Claire." I read it 3 times, then set it down gently, like it might crumble if I held it too tight. It didn't undo everything. It didn't change how she'd acted or what I'd had to defend myself against. But it was something. That night, I sat at my desk and wrote her back. "Claire, thank you for the note. I appreciate the honesty, it matters. For a long time, I accepted our family's version of who I was supposed to be, the helper, the babysitter, the weird uncle with costumes. And I accepted it because I thought love was supposed to be quiet and selfless. But what I do isn't small. It's just loud in a different way. If we're going to move forward, it has to be from a place of mutual respect. No more favors framed as family. No more jokes that aren't jokes. I'm here if you're ready for that. But I won't return to the old role. Evan." I didn't hear back for a week. No reply, no text, no vague quotes on social media. Just quiet. Then, one Saturday morning, I opened my inbox and found a short video attachment from Claire. It was Max. He was sitting on the floor of his bedroom, the dragon puppet on his hand, its felt tongue poking out sideways. He looked right into the camera and whispered, "My brave knight." Then he giggled, turned the puppet, and made it roar softly like I'd taught him. I sat there, holding my coffee, my chest aching in that good, raw way. No caption, no commentary, just a kid remembering joy. And remembering me. That was enough. 3 years later, my Saturdays are fully booked 6 months in advance. What started as a few scattered storytime gigs has become a real business, Nightlit Storyworks. I run interactive literacy shows for schools, birthday parties, libraries, and children's hospitals. I've got a website, a waitlist, and a growing collection of wizard hats, dragon tails, and felt crowns stored in neatly labeled bins in my garage. I even hired an assistant last fall, Tia, a college student who's way better at wrangling 20 preschoolers into a story circle than I ever was. She handles scheduling, helps with costume changes, and reminds me to actually eat lunch on busy days. I make less money than I did at the library job, but I also sleep better, laugh more, and I don't spend every Sunday night dreading Monday. My apartment is still small, but the walls are covered in drawings from kids. Crayon portraits of Mr. Dragon, sticker-covered thank you notes, one very ambitious pencil sketch of me riding a giant flying book labeled The Story King. And Max? He's 5 now. Full-blown dinosaur phase. He loves stories with maps and monsters and loud sound effects. He comes to my weekend workshops sometimes, sits in the front row in his dragon hoodie, and shouts, "I know this one," before I even finish the first page. Claire usually drops him off and picks him up without making a scene. We don't talk much beyond logistics, just polite, quick exchanges, but there's no more tension. No jabs. No fake smiles. Sometimes I catch her watching from the back of the room, arms crossed but smiling, just barely. She works part-time now at a catering co-op, modest. Steady. She's not up and coming anymore, not in the way the family used to brag about. But she's trying. I can tell. She hasn't asked for a dime in years. At Thanksgiving, Max told me he wants to be a librarian knight when he grows up. I'll wear armor, but with pockets for books. You'll need a big helmet for all your ideas, I told him. He nodded solemnly. Yeah, and stickers on the sword. For every story I finish. My parents still don't say much. They know about the business, mostly because Claire mentioned it once and I guess curiosity got the best of them. They haven't come to a show, haven't asked how I'm doing. But they don't make comments anymore. They don't ask if I've found direction. They've learned, I think, to let the silence speak for itself. And I've learned to let it be quiet. Because the truth is, I have peace now. Not perfection, not applause, but peace. I wake up and I know who I am. I know what I bring into a room. I know that making books feel magical is a kind of success no resume can hold. Max still calls me his dragon uncle. The other day, he looked up at me after a workshop and said, "You make boring stuff sound fun." I laughed and said, "That's the goal, but..." And he grinned. "Then you're really good at it." I used to think I had to be big to be seen. Prestigious. Impressive. All caps successful. But now I know better. Joy is enough. And I am, too.